inches. I'm not one to sit down with a fine paint brush. So we'll just block that in. We'll worry about details later. What we want to do is just a quick idea. And I won't pencil drawing. I can always fix that up after, but I'll fill everything in. The sky didn't take very long. It doesn't need to take very long. I'll go a little lower so that we can always add stuff in behind there. Okay, normally the farthest edges, your horizon, are lighter than as you come up, your sky always appears darker. So we'll add a bit of lighter paint, the edges and the bottom edges. A little more white. I want my barn to look almost red, but it has to look abandoned, so it's not going to be a bright red barn. There's the farthest parts of the horizon. We'll make them look like they're a long ways away. Stuff that's a long ways away is always a little less distinct than the nearer. And my roof is going to be gray. Old shingles and old boards. The first thing you want to do is block everything in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to block in the roof. I'll add a little bit of brown, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, lots of white, a little more yellow. You mix the three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, and you end up with gray. A little bit of blue and more yellow. You want it to contrast somehow with the background. And my foreground is going to be grass. Grass normally being yellow, so you want the sky, which is blue, with a little touch of yellow in it. And a little more yellow. On the roof. You want it to contrast with the background a little bit. Details will all come later. Just adding a bit of yellow gives you gray, but it gives you a lighter touch of gray, which will give you some contrast with the background. Details, like I say, will all come later. Now what I can do is take some yellow here and a little bit of blue and make some green. Three primary colors will give you any shade and any hue of any color that you want, depending on what you add. Now this is green, but it's a very light green, but I want background. And background is always kind of dull. Your bright colors, as you get closer and closer, will get just a little brighter. So we start with dull colors, and we can mix it in with the blue. We'll make this a summer scene or a fall scene. There. Okay, as I come to the foreground, I want more and more yellow because we're looking grasses. So we'll start. All I did here is added a bit of yellow, and we'll just leave the clothesline there and block stuff in. Details all come later. This little area of white here should be a little yellow, so we'll add some blue to it and make it kind of dull. Not as dull as the back. As you can tell, there's a bit of a distinction anyway. And we don't worry about edges. The old farmer sitting there looking at his old farm after it's been sold. Comes back a year later and everything kind of falling apart. I'll add a few highlights here and there.
So I see the sky has changed again, so you keep changing the colors?
Changing as I go along. Now I'm kind of partial to the sun hitting from this side, which means everything on this side should be laying in shadows. So we'll make this end a little bit darker. Try and put a little bit of texture in there.
So once you've got the whole painting all blocked in, after that
You just more or less go
Do details.
do the details, I see.
Right. Put a yellow ochre, that's grass, put a bit of yellow for the sunlit areas. Okay. And I suggest grass. If I were to draw every blade of grass, it would take me a month. So what I do is I suggest it. And I'll add some darker colors because nothing appears light unless you put some darks in there. Gotta have darks. Otherwise everything's on one plane and don't want that. As you get to the foreground, make your grass a little bit lighter. Your lights and darks are in the foreground. It's always the way it is. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your backyard or not. You sit in your yard and the grass that's closest to you is lightest and darkest. So that's the way we're going to do it. The closer you get, the lighter and darker everything is.
So you more or less change as you go on, like once you see how your painting is coming along, you more or less determine different colors.
Some things that I'm going to change here.
Yeah.
It always is, but the first trick is to block everything in. As long as you've got the basic idea of what it is you want to paint, that's where you start. You block everything in. And all the colors, you want them all to kind of complement each other. You're not going to start painting light yellow here and dark yellow and red there. You like everything to complement. And that's what I want to do. Here we are on the side of this barrel. Now there's bound to be some shadow here. So we'll paint in some shadow on the side.
You do most of your paintings on Sunday mornings?
Yep. That's the only time I have, really.
So in between hockey and all that, you pick Sunday mornings? And
Sunday morning. Go to church on Saturday night and paint on Sunday morning. That's all blocking pretty well. Gotta make sure the edges are done because when it's sitting in a frame, if you got a big... Okay. Now we know the sun is coming in like this, hitting that side of the barn. The shadow end is going to be over there. I want to lighten it. It's
so
too dark.
That's what you did around the barrel, eh? You got a darker side. You got a shadow on this side, and
yeah, this is still a little too dark, but I'll use a different brush when I want to paint in the grass.
Once you got that all blocked in, it takes a while to dry, or?
No, it doesn't. That's the thing with acrylics, it dries real fast.
So you can just about keep on, you can
gotta
complete
be
it.
fast.
Yeah.
So we'll use fan brush.
So you can really just about complete a painting that Sunday morning, or?
Oh no, like I'm doing a lot of
Oh yeah, it makes it look like tall grass.
Yeah, right. It gives a little more definition to your grass. That's what I want in the foreground. Turn it sideways or blocking in is easy. The tough part comes when you have to start putting in details. Now I guess what we could do here is I can start on my clothesline, my old clothesline. For that I'll find a brush that's a little thinner, has small bristles on it. And I'm going to have lots of contrast in there, so I'm going to use my ultramarine blue. I'll mix it with some umber, and that'll give you almost black. Mix brown, which is a complementary color, and mix it with your ultramarine blue. And the more you mix them, you get the right combination. It gets it real dark. Never use black. I never do. Black is a absence of color, I guess. And if the sun's coming this way, the dark side of the posts will be on this side. So we'll just add them in. Just for starters. And the dark side of the barrel. You gotta try and keep in mind where the darkness would be, and that will all be in shadow. Lighten it a little bit. Don't want it so black that from a distance it'll look like a big black dot with no character. As we get there, the sun tends to find its way inside, so we'll use a little later. Likewise with the top of the barrel, but it's probably a rusty old barrel. So we'll put some white and some sienna together. Top of the barrel. And if I draw up the dark, it should a little too light, so we'll use some more dark. We'll blend it in. We know that part of the barrel is going to be darker because it's on the shadow side. Sun ain't beating on it.
How much do numbers will be?
You always try and make your lines go. If this is a round barrel, you want to suggest how round it is. You keep going in the same direction. You wouldn't be going across this way if you want to suggest how round that barrel is. So you just keep going around. There. Now if you pull back a little bit, you'll notice that it does tend to look a little round.
Yeah, it looks real good.
Now, those are overused for mainly clothesline, so probably gray. So we'll make it gray. There again, we'll add the details later. For now, we want to. One of the big things about painting is overlapping as well. It gives you a sense of depth. So the end of my clothesline will just go up over top of the barn. You don't want to have everything one after the other. You want things to overlap. This piece of clothesline here is going to go in behind the barrel, and that will suggest to someone looking at the picture that the barrel is ahead of the clothesline. And make some more darks here. And a little bit of sunlight's going to be hitting this, so we'll make it a little lighter. And likewise with the top. It's probably an old 2x4. Chances are the top will be lighter, so we'll make it lighter. To lead you into the picture, and the way to do that is to make everything brighter in the foreground, because as you look at a picture, or if you're sitting outside of your house looking at the pasture or whatever, blades of grass, everything seems real bright in the foreground. But as you go further and further away, everything goes towards a middle value. In other words, it's not really dark, it's not really bright. So your pictures, if they want to be believable, have to reflect that. Lines here to help define.
So now you're going to start the detail on,
Yeah.
on the men, or?
We'll start a little bit here and there. Okay, just get some edges in there.
And this is how you start getting class in your picture.
That's, yeah, everything, you gotta have your lights and darks. Now this is really splotched on, but then we'll worry about that later. What we want to do right now is use a stiff brush here. I'll start here. Put some edges just like that for now.
I don't imagine Emil ever took the time to, when he painted his barn,
No.
go in details like that.
No. We'll do the dark side of the man here. Just to make him stand out a little bit. The joy of doing this is that you can go back over and over again.
So you had a painting in Carnduff at the,
Yeah.
what was that?
It was a watercolor. That's mostly what I've been doing lately is watercolors. The thing with acrylics here, you can come back over and over and fix your mistakes. With watercolor you can't. What you do right off the bat is what you're going to get. So this, I guess, in a way is a little easier. I don't want that man to stand out. I don't want you to stand back 50 feet away and say, oh, look, there's a man there. Let's see what else is there. So I'm not going to make him too much different than the background. I'll add a bit of white, a little blue, give him some blue jeans. Now the sun's shining on him a little bit. Now the darkest part of his blue jeans, of course, are going to be on the low side.
So that makes yourself a nice hobby then?
Oh yeah, I love it.
You really enjoy painting like that?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's starting to look like a farmer already this
Yeah.
time.
What should we give him? Some gray hair? Black hair?
Sure.
What do you think? He's got blonde hair, that guy. We'll change it. We'll change it. Brown hair. Brown hair is fine, but Give them a little bit of skin tone. Yellow and some brown. Some red.
Well, Gilles, thanks a lot for your time there and showing us how you do your paintings on Sunday mornings.